I did go out one night and we ended up going to those sketchy bars that you can find in Shinjuku, and they immediately started trying to upsell us, and I was having none of it. No, I don't want to buy this expensive garbage. So I had one drink, and immediately after, I could not remember anything. Hello, fellow shareholders. It's me, Connor. I'm back on the main channel talking directly to you for once. It's been a rarity, and in fact, any uploads on this channel have kind of been a bit of a rarity. We'll get into it, but I normally do these videos once a year where I kind of talk about the year and how it's been, how living in Japan has been, how content creation in general has been. So why don't we do that by going through your questions? Chris asks, when are we going camping again? Absolutely never again if you're in charge of it, because my God, if you didn't see, Chris nearly got me killed. I told Chris I need winter sleeping bags. He's like, oh yes, don't worry, we've got it sorted. We have an expert. And we get there and it's just Barry from the pub, and he has these like Amazon basic sleeping bag. No offense to Barry, you know, I really appreciate they gave us a sleeping bag anyway. But the point was that the sleeping bags were not enough, and I was freezing, and I never want to do that ever again. Thank you very much. Is sarcasm in Japan as alien a concept as I've heard? I mean, it's definitely less common than my home country, which is the UK, home of sarcasm. You just have to be a bit more honest and make sure it's very, very apparent that you are being sarcastic. Otherwise, people will get a bit confused and think that you are kind of odd. Whereas in the UK, I kind of feel like it's a bit more of the opposite. We get joy out of making someone not realize we're being sarcastic until they finally figure it out, and then you feel very smart. What has been the most difficult thing for you to adjust to, even after all your years of living in Japan? So to preface, I actually don't watch any of my videos from years prior, so I actually don't know what I said, but I still believe that going to the bank and doing any kind of banking in Japan is by far the worst. It's just old, archaic, slow, barely ever works, and for some reason they'll just block your card and you have to go into the store physically to explain to them that, hey, you've blocked my card, can you unblock it please? And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah. Now wait just a moment, because I need to tell you that this video is sponsored by Honkai Star Rail. If you don't know Honkai Star Rail, which you probably do because I voice in it, I'll tell you a little bit about it. Because Honkai Star Rail has been awarded the best game of the year in 2023 on Google Play and App Store, and the TGA Mobile Game of the Year. Honkai Star Rail is a free-to-play RPG developed by Hoyoverse. The game adopts a turn-based gameplay style, offering strategic elements and user-friendly experiences for new players. And they've just released a major 2.0 version update. This massive update introduces the new world of Penacony, featuring a plethora of maps, brand new characters, and exciting adventures to embark on. And to all my fellow character enjoyers, there is new characters to pull for. Black Swan has arrived, an elegant woman who practices divination using a crystal ball and cards, excluding a mysterious aura. And alongside Black Swan is a brand new character, Sparkle, an impish and mysterious new girl. If you log in right now, you will obtain 10-star rail special passes immediately. And if you log in for 7 consecutive days, you get to claim another 10. And you can use those passes to get Black Swan and Sparkle. So what are you waiting for? Smash my link in the description down below, and don't forget to use these codes on screen right now to get 50 additional Stellar Jades. Thank you so much to Honkai Star Rail for sponsoring this video. Make sure to go to that link in the description down below and smash it and get Honkai Star Rail today. Honestly, there isn't actually anything that I find super difficult in Japan anymore. There's little annoyances that I get here and there, but generally the only thing that's difficult is getting used to like the new system of things. For example, I went to the post office earlier and I realized, hey, if I didn't know how any of this stuff worked, I could just rock up and start talking to them and asking them about it. But in Japan, I definitely feel bad if I go to a place unprepared and I make people have to like worry and try to help me. In the UK, I'll be one guy and he'll talk to me and he'll be like, yes, this is what you need to do this, do this, do this. Okay, cool. Whereas in Japan, you'll slowly start to get more staff coming in until there'll be like 5 staff surrounding you, and they're all brainstorming how to fix your problem, and I just feel bad. I think now, because I've been living in Japan for over 4 years and I've gotten pretty okay at Japanese, the only things that I really struggle with and the things that I don't want to do are immigration focused and most definitely tax focused. But that is stuff that I did not handle in English anyway, so very happy to let someone else take the reins on that. Is there anything that you miss from back home that you can't get in Japan that would make you consider leaving? Absolutely, it would be British crisps. My God, I am not patriotic about much, but my Lord, our crisps are the best goddamn crisps in the world. You rip open a pack of McCoys, oh, flavor with every bite. And now Walkers, oh, they're stepping up their game. They got the Max Crunch paprika flavored and the hot spicy flavor. Oh, and don't even get me started on Monster Munch. America and Japan, your crisp game is weak. You have nothing on us. You are dirt to us. You should end your crisp game now. How do you feel about Japan's obsession on lottery systems on literally everything? And do you know if Japanese people actually appreciate it, or are they tired of it too? I don't think anyone likes the lottery system. So a bit of background information. If you were to buy tickets for a concert in the UK or the US, it's basically a free-for-all. Whoever gets the tickets first gets them. But in Japan, it's the opposite. You just apply for a lottery on whichever days you want to go to the concert, and if you win, you get the ticket. It sounds like a pretty sensible system. But let's say, for example, you really want to see a very popular artist, and you are very flexible with your schedule. In the Western world, you would just have to try your best to get one of those days. In Japan, you would have to enter the lottery for all of the days that you want to go to. If you are lucky enough, you'll win 1. And if you're really unlucky, you'll win 10. And you'll have to pay for all of those tickets. And oh no, you cannot sell them because they are tied to your name. Basically, it's just one giant gamble. And don't worry, it's not just for concerts. They've decided the system is so good that they're going to apply it in general areas of life, such as, hey, if you wanted to buy a PS5 at the peak of its hype, you had to sign up for a credit card to enter the lottery to be able to buy a PS5. So you can imagine that that was a fantastic system. It's kind of a very frustrating system because if you want to have higher chances, you have to take on a lot more risk, and it kind of feels punishing for just wanting to buy or support something. Either way, not a fan. Would like Japan to use it less, if possible. At what level would you rate your Japanese language proficiency after 4 years? This is a tough one, and people always want to know how good you are at Japanese. And a lot of people have these misconceptions that if you just move to a country, you will magically be fluent in a language. I wish that was the case. My Japanese is pretty good for someone who does not study. Recently, I was able to watch the new Ghibli film in the cinemas, which I was really proud about because I sat there and I understood about 70% of what they were saying, except for the bird guy, because he sounded like, Boshio, Namikore. And it was like really hard to decipher his voice, but it was very cool. And that honestly felt like a huge personal win and kind of got me a little bit emotional because I'd been living in this country for so long and I was never able to really consume the media, and to finally sit down in the movie theater and be able to just take it in and genuinely understand what was being said and not just trying to guess was a huge ego and confidence boost for me. How often do you get to learn/practice Japanese when you're not working on content? Do you attend class of some sort, or do you learn from other day-to-day activities? Full transparency, I used to go to class for about 2 years, once a week for about 2 hours, and it was really helpful in the start just to kind of get the rails going and get me in the right path and learning the right things. And then after a certain point, I felt that if I was going to improve, I would have to really commit to it a lot more. And unfortunately, I wanted to commit more to content and making stuff for you guys. And so basically a lot of my Japanese practice after that came from just having to do day-by-day activities or going to bars and talking with the bar owners in Japanese, which I feel that I'm at that point now where I'm not burdening them with my crappy Japanese. I'm able to communicate and understand everything they're saying. My listening is much stronger than my talking. I'm still trying to get less scared when making long sentences because sometimes I'm worried about sounding like an idiot, but I sound like an idiot in English anyway, so I should just talk. But in general, it's been going great, and I feel like I'm at a really solid point right now where I have literally no difficulties at all. I can do everything that I need to do in Japan, and I'm able to show everyone around. When my parents came, it was really cool getting to show off my ability to speak a language that they'd never even comprehended before. And ultimately, I feel that my Japanese should and could be better if I focused more on it. However, I just really love making stuff right now and content creation, and I feel that I'm in kind of like my creative peak. So I'm just really focusing on that. I know that if I ever want to at any point just rapidly improve my Japanese, I can just say it and I'll just enroll in a class that is full-time. However, I definitely don't want to do that right now. Why? Am I British? We can't all have nice teeth. Somebody has to set the bar low, and we're here for that, all right? Be grateful. Reminds me of that TikTok where the guy's like, "At least our schools aren't shooting galleries." Please put that in.
So in Britain, you guys drive on the left side of the street? That sure is peculiar, huh?
Well, at least our schools are not a shooting gallery, mate!
What aspects of Japanese culture have you come to appreciate after having gotten used to it after 4 years? What aspects of your own culture do you miss? I mean, it's such low-hanging fruit, but my gosh, it is just so clean. I only realized how much I liked that when I left Japan for a little while, and I really wish the stuff was as clean as it was here. And the thing I miss most about the UK, honestly, is just the friendliness and pubs. I love pub culture a lot, and it's definitely very difficult to get that here unless you have a really good group of friends, but it's by far the thing I miss the most about the UK. British man misses drinking. Who would have thought? Bonus culture thing that I really like about Japan is that people are just genuinely kind, and they really want to help you if you are struggling with something. Sometimes you'll see some people say online that people are fake nice here and they're only just being polite to you. That definitely can be the case, but I think that's more of a reflection of how you are treating them or how you are interacting with them. If you don't speak Japanese or understand any of the customs and you've broken some social taboos, they would just be polite for the sake of being polite to you, and they don't actually want to deal with you, which I think is kind of a tough one to talk about. But I definitely think that if you speak a little bit of Japanese and you understand the cultural norms, people genuinely want to help you, and I think that is really nice. Do you have any recommendations for new streamers or streamers that have been going at it for multiple years with not much progress? Do you think giving up is an option? I think that not everyone is cut out to do it, and not everyone should do it. It can be very mentally taxing. I've done YouTube now for nearly 10 years and streaming for 3 or 4. And I definitely think that streaming requires a certain kind of individual for you to have a lot of success at it. And I think YouTube allows you to have a lot more of a healthier lifestyle, and streaming requires you to kind of almost ruin your life in a weird way. And you have to really make sure that you are taking care of yourself when you're streaming. If you do want to grow as a streamer, the most important thing you can do is not grow on the streaming platform. You have to go to other platforms because of the way the algorithm works. It just won't push smaller channels. Your best hope is using TikTok, which has a much friendlier way of promoting smaller creators, and then using that following on TikTok to slowly get more people to come over to Twitch and check you out. YouTube is also a fantastic way of doing that. Now, it is tough because I have a team of people helping me out, and doing it alone is very tough. But at the end of the day, with TikTok and other short form content, you are the person who knows you the best. And then you can pick your best moments and just, chop them up and shit them on the TikTok. You don't have to do any fancy editing. It's very easy. Is healthcare good? Would someone with chronic illnesses be good over there? Yeah, I mean, generally medical care is very good in Japan. I'm from the UK, where we don't pay anything except for in our taxes, and it's kind of hidden. But in Japan, you pay health insurance directly. I will say in Japan, I definitely get seen quicker, because in the UK, if you have a mild cough, they will tell you to just game over yourself instead of going to the doctor. And if you do have a serious illness in the UK or need help, you'll probably be waiting for the better half of 4 years before you get seen. So it's kind of, you just pick. Do you see yourself staying in Japan as your main place of residence, or will you be moving back to either the UK or the US down the road? Yeah, a lot of people seem to think that I might be moving to America, mainly because I hang out in LA a lot and I'm there a lot for streaming stuff. But I do not want to live in America. I'm sure a lot of the Americans out there will agree with me. Awful place to live. Cool to visit, and I love Americans. Americans are very nice, and as much as, why do I sound like I'm talking about them like they're like zoo animals? They are kind creatures, but you cannot write them off. Be wary of the American. You never know what might happen. But yeah, I mean, Americans in general are very kind. I think sometimes British people can be a bit cold and very reluctant to open up, whereas I really appreciate that Americans are very kind and very willing to open up right away. If not loud, sometimes that's fine. I'd be loud too. If you live in Idaho, your neighbor's probably like, 4 miles away from you. You got to shout them to hear you. To answer your question, I really love Japan, and I can't see myself moving from here anytime soon. I'm very fortunate that I get to do this job in particular in Japan. The normal work-life balance in Japan is pretty brutal if you don't know. And I get to just, enjoy life. I get to walk around, go to my favorite coffee shops. I get to exercise whenever I want. I feel like I'm safe. There's no crazy traffic everywhere. It's just a great place with amazing food options, amazing drink options. And, I have a lot of amazing friends here. And I really love Japan, and I can't imagine living anywhere else right now. Ah, yes, the age-old question. Connor, how do you deal with burnout? Very simply, I make sure that I'm making stuff at a healthy rate, making sure that I'm efficient with my time, making sure that I'm exercising weekly, making sure that I'm hanging out with friends. I do a lot of stuff, but I think that is actually credit to my scheduling. I got really intense about my scheduling about 2.5 years ago, because I found myself wanting to do a lot of things, but not wanting to be miserable. I wanted to make sure that I still had time for friends and family, that I could see the people I really care about, and that I could still exercise. And for me, that required me to procrastinate less, which is not easy because I want to play video games all the time, but also just make sure that I am not wasting time throughout my day. I think if you are self-employed, you'll know what I mean. It's so easy to lose like 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and boom, suddenly you've lost 2.5 hours in your day that you could have used to do something else. Even on this main channel where I'm not uploading that much, these videos still take a while. There's a lot of steps involved. Find the locations, check with the locations that we can film, arrange a date, schedule the whole shoot date, arrange cameramen for that. That's the easy part done. We have to then start going into post-production. Let's chop down these videos. We need it all subtitled now. Let's go and subtitle. Let's go and do it again. We have to go through another round of editing, and then we have to figure out what the thumbnail's going to be. So it's a lot of steps to make one of these videos. It is definitely easier with the crane game ones because I love doing these videos and the formula is very nice. But I didn't want to make too many of them because I didn't want it to get old for you guys, and I didn't want it to get too repetitive. All that stuff can still be done, and I can still do all the streaming stuff and traveling if I just manage my schedule wisely and I'm not wasting time. If my time was 100% bar, I'd say currently it's 20% trash taste, 20% my main channel, and 60% my live streaming stuff. The live streaming stuff takes a lot of work, mainly because I have to be on camera for extended periods of time quite often. I do think that right now it is the most rewarding for me. It's what I enjoy the most. Not to say that I don't enjoy making the main channel videos. I absolutely love making those videos, but they require a bit more time. And I think the way the time investment works is that I personally feel like for more time that I put into streaming, I get more out of it, as opposed to if I put more time into the main channel videos, you'd get an extra video or two a year. If you hadn't started content creation, do you think you or your life would be different from now? And how so? I'd definitely be more sad. that's about it. What sort of videos can we expect next year? Any new collabs? I hope so. I hope people will still want to work with me next year. Next year, I've kind of decided that I really want to do what I've been doing, but do it better. Unhelpful, I know, but I really felt that I had done some really cool things last year. If you haven't watched any of my live streaming stuff, I really recommend it. We also upload all of it afterwards, edited very nicely and repackaged. So if you don't like watching live stuff, but you like seeing a nice cozy edit afterwards, you can do that. We did some amazing things like the cyclothon, the charity auction, the RV trip, and I want to do all those things again, but I want to do them just better. Basically, I just want to make sure that my main channel is a little bit more consistent next year. I felt like I kind of dropped the ball this year, and I don't really want that to happen again next year. Gonna try and make it so that you get at least one video every month on this channel. What gets you past any initial I don't really want to today? Yeah, sometimes, you know, in life and in anything, there are going to be days where you're like, I don't want to do this today. You know, some days are really tough, and maybe there's some external circumstances that make it, you know, warrant for you to take a day off. I wish there was a more nuanced way to say this, but just do it. You just have to do it. Generally, I do think of this as a job, and even though I love it and it's by far the best job I could ever have in my life, I like to turn up to work. I like to work every day, 5 days a week. And I think that's very important. And even though it is creative and you can be passionate about it, it's also important that you're good at your job. Which one do you prefer, British cuisine or Japanese cuisine? And what is your favorite? This is like asking, hey, would you prefer slop or food? I'm exaggerating. British food is not that bad. British food is actually pretty good. My favorite being sausages. I love sausages, and I wish Japan had good sausages. They do not, flat out, and it's the one thing that I miss the most about British food. But obviously I prefer Japanese food in general. Your thoughts when confronted with this when having to do a number 2 out in the wild for the first time? Yeah, not fun. A lot of the times in Japanese countrysides, you'll come across this toilet. It's the old style. I generally avoid these toilets, and I would be more inclined to poop my pants than use this. Not because I have to squat, but I want a bidet. So how does the time zone affect the way that you collab with other streamers? Not too bad. I just have to wake up early, which for most streamers is the ultimate Dark Souls one-hit you die challenge. I actually kind of like it. I really do enjoy when I get the opportunity to wake up at like 8 or 7 a.m., do a collab, finish at like 2 or 3 p.m., and I can just enjoy the rest of my day. The thing that I was shocked most about living in Japan is how much I liked the time zone. It is awesome that I get to work really hard in the mornings like a normal person, and then by the evening, I'm done. Everyone else in the other time zones is asleep. No one can bother me. It's so good. And the main downside is that, yeah, it is kind of difficult to talk to friends and family in the UK. Although I do Skype. Yeah, I Skype. I can't believe that. I still have Skype installed just to talk with my parents once a week, which is very nice, and I like doing that. But one thing that I take comfort in is knowing that whenever I go back to the UK and I do see my old friends, that nothing's changed. It does feel like time has not moved at all. And I really appreciate that, and I value that a lot more than texting or calling. What have you accomplished in the year 2023, and what are your goals for next year? I had a goal for myself this year, which was to raise $1 million for charity, and I only raised $950,000. I definitely could have done something to get it over that mark, but I really didn't want to half-ass a charity event. So next year, I'm actually going to raise $1 million for charity. We're going to do it. It's going to get done, and it's going to be really cool. And I hope you guys will be there for that. Are there any Western items you had no option but to import because they are just not available there? Certain kinds of cheese, if you want them. I have imported in the past, but haven't done it in a long time because it costs so much money, and I don't need the cheese that badly. What's the biggest change Japan has had on you as a person? I always say, during conversation when I'm listening to someone, I'll go, oh, okay. And I constantly forget that that is not a normal thing to do in the UK. But I kind of like it. It's kind of like my way of saying, hey, yeah, I'm listening. I'm taking all of this in. Please keep talking to me. How long did it take you to feel fully adjusted when moving to Japan? I think weirdly, even last year, I didn't quite feel fully adjusted. The pandemic definitely messed up a bunch of timelines in my head and how I felt about a lot of things. But I really feel like this year, I feel the most settled and adjusted, as you would expect. I mean, this is, 4 years in. The more you are in a place, the more you get used to it. I think I fully accepted a lot of the Japanisms that they have going, and I'm okay with it. And I just love being here. I just love life. It's great. It's awesome here. I'm very happy. Would you ever consider moving somewhere else? Yes, Chris's bedroom. Leave it in. People always praise the native food when talking about Japan, but what is the non-Japanese food like? Any restaurants run by foreigners, immigrants, common a thing? Yeah, absolutely. There are so many restaurants that are amazing in Tokyo. I mean, if you look at the list of Michelin star restaurants in Tokyo, not that I go to Michelin stars, I think Michelin is a scam and stupid. Restaurants in Tokyo are very, very good, and I guarantee you that you can get any kind of food you want in Tokyo. There will be one good restaurant for every type of food. You know, a lot of the times, I don't always eat Japanese food. My number one restaurant is an Italian restaurant. And the way I try and sell people on this, I'm like, hey, listen to me. If I told you you could have Italian-style food with the quality of Japanese ingredients, doesn't that sound amazing? I love fish so much, so why wouldn't I want to get Japanese quality fish with Italian pasta? And there are a lot of restaurants that are run by foreigners, so if you are missing a certain kind of food, you can definitely get it. And don't sleep on it. When you come to Japan, don't just eat Japanese food. There are some amazing, amazing takes or fusions with Japanese food and foreign food that I think are amazing. What was the wildest night you've had out in Japan? So you want to know the story about how my drink got spiked in Japan, huh? I did go out one night with a few good friends of mine. We ended up going to those sketchy bars that you can find in Shinjuku. There are a lot of videos out there and a lot of stories about people being scammed. They'll lure you in with touts saying, hey, come in our bar, we'll give you a free drink, and you can, you know, it's all well and good. And we went into this bar and they immediately started trying to upsell us. And I was having none of it. I was like, no, I don't want to buy this expensive garbage. I'm just trying to chill out with my boys. And after one drink, now bear in mind, I have a Welsh liver and I drink fairly often, you know, I live in Japan, you have to. So I had one drink, and immediately after having that one drink, I could not remember anything. My stability as a human being was not anchored to this plane of existence. Had to be taken home. I was so violently ill after one drink. It turns out in this area, it's very, very common that they spike your drinks because they want you to be inebriated to the point where you won't be able to see them swiping your credit card and charging whatever they want to charge. It's a very, very well-known scam. And for some reason, I just thought I was impervious to it. I was dumb and I thought, no, I'm smart. This would never happen to me. So the wildest night was me getting spiked. TLDR, don't go to certain areas in Shinjuku. They now actually blast loudspeaker audio in the entire area telling you not to go into these bars, which I most certainly agree with, because the one time I did go into any of these bars, I immediately got spiked. So don't do that yourself. I'm very serious. If you are in Shinjuku or in Golden Gai area, Japan is super safe. You will not be hurt or harmed in any way. But there are touts, and if somebody ever tries to get you into a bar in Japan, do not follow. Since you've gone to LA a lot this year, what would you say is the best thing about LA that you wish you could experience in Japan? I mean, I really admire how generally chilled back and relaxed people are in LA. And I kind of wish that Japan got a little bit of that, but also LA is like a hellhole on earth, and I don't really want to take anything of that. What's your favorite crane game machine to play? And on the topic, what's your least favorite? Well, my least favorite, without a doubt, is just the standard crane. Playing the normal three-pronged pickup machine is by far the quickest way to lose your money, because they often put the biggest prizes and the most desirable prizes in these machines, because you're gonna have to burn through a lot of money to get them. The ones I actually like the most are the more skill-centric machines, be it the one where you have to like swivel the thing off the ledge, or I really like the one where you have to get the hand and put it through the hole, because it's generally the easiest one, but they also put the worst prizes in it. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. I also hate the one that goes around in the circle. That one sucks. What was the hardest part to get used to living in Japan? Definitely one of the hardest parts that I still have is trash and sorting it. All of it is extremely particular and separated depending on the area you live. So the area I used to live in has actually surprisingly quite different rules to where I live now. And I had to relearn all of that. And it's so tedious. But I also appreciate that it's better for recycling purposes, and I think that is much better. But man, dealing with trash sucks. Have you encountered any gaijin hunters in Japan? Why do I always get this question? No. Not in a long time. I mean, look at me. If I was Robert Pattinson, I'm sure this question would have been a slam dunk, but I haven't. Apart from language barrier, what is the thing to overcome when socializing with locals? I think confidence is just the biggest thing in any language, right? That makes people a lot more relaxed. If someone is super friendly and outgoing with you, a lot of the times you're like, oh, okay, awesome. This guy's super chill. Nice. I actually found that personally, and I said this on Trash Taste, that I started switching to using more informal Japanese with everyone in Japan, because I started getting a lot more friendly responses, and people generally would laugh at me more, which is what I wanted, because, you know, I think that when someone's laughing at you, they feel like disarmed, and they're like, oh, this guy's chill. He's nice. Let's chat. And I started getting a lot more positive interactions in general when I started using way more informal Japanese which I was taught never to do. And I don't think it works unless you're a bit more confident as well. You have to really be outgoing with it, but it definitely helped me a lot. I'm visiting Japan next year in December. Do you recommend Airbnb or hotels? Depends what you want to do. Depends on your budget. If you're staying in Tokyo, hotels are generally very affordable. Capsule hotels are also affordable if you want to try that. Hostels are also pretty good in Japan, generally, especially in the countryside. I know my brother, when he came, he stayed in a bunch of hostels and he really, really liked it. Said that they were very cheap, very affordable, very kind, and they often gave free food and drink, which is great if you're trying to travel on a budget. Generally, I wouldn't recommend Airbnb. I've just heard of so many horror stories, and Airbnb sucks. And hotels are really solid here, and again, very affordable. And please don't mistake me, hotels here are small, tiny, and sometimes terrible, but I just want a roof, and I'm happy with that. And if you are too, then great. Hotels it is for you. What do you enjoy most about streaming in Japan, and how do you prepare/schedule it? Well, I just think Japan has so many amazing things that you can film or stream, and it's just a never-ending mountain of content, and I love that because Japanese culture is just so interesting, and they're so willing to do these crazy things, and I'm really grateful that I'm able to show off a lot of it to you guys, be it on this channel or live streaming, you know. And I think that I still never ever think that I've even scratched the surface of content to film in Japan, and I'm always just so excited when I see something cool, and I'm like, man, I really want to experience that and capture that on camera and show that to you guys. I think it's what keeps me super excited about Japan in general. You know, I don't know if it came across in last year's video, but I definitely felt like I was more negative last year about Japan in general. And I don't know why that was. I think there's this normal life cycle that you get when you are in a foreign country for a long time where it's all really exciting, and then you kind of get disillusioned with a lot of things. And I think I was at that point where I was starting to get disillusioned by a lot of things in Japan. And now I'm back to like, yeah, I love it all. It's great. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to do my own thing. If you managed to make it all the way to the end, I just want to say thank you, as always. This has been a crazy journey. For 4 years in Japan now. Can you believe that? It's crazy. And we've made some, I feel like, really amazing videos on this channel and on the live streaming stuff. And honestly, I might not always be doing the thing that you guys want me to do, but I always promise that I'll be doing what I'm passionate about and what I think is most entertaining at that current time for myself personally, be it through the live streaming medium or through this kind of channel style where we film it and edit it and do a more curated product. I think ultimately both have their strengths, and I really love doing both, and I won't stop doing both. I will not quit this main channel. I don't want you to think that is ever going to happen, because ultimately there are just some stories that I think have to be told through editing, through multiple parts of filming that just can't be done in a live setting. And I never want to write that medium off, because ultimately I just want to be creative. I want to tell cool stories. So I guess thanks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. You guys are the best, man. I can't believe in April of this year, I will have been uploading YouTube videos for 10 years. My entire adult life is online, which is weird. But also, I don't think I would trade it for anything. I'm so happy. I can't believe how far we've come. Let me know if you want me to do like some kind of 10-year flashback rewind thing on the channel. I don't know. But the point is, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, type in whatever my editor decides to type on screen right now. Type that in the comments to prove that you watched this far and for engagement. And like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye.